Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show that gives you the well-informed shortcut into some of the most fascinating corners of pop culture history.
And today we are definitely diving deep. We're talking about a franchise that spanned over 30 years.
We're strapping on our rubber chickens, sharpening our insult swords, and we are charting a course for the Caribbean to explore one of the most beloved, enduring, and just delightfully silly adventure game franchises ever, Monkey Island.
It's just an incredible story. I mean, we're looking at a series that hasn't just survived for 3 decades and 6 major games, but has also navigated these huge technological earthquakes.
Right, like from floppy disks and pixel art all the way to full voice acting and 3D graphics.
Exactly. And somehow, through all of that change, it has maintained this almost unbelievable consistency and critical acclaim,
Yeah.
it's just so rare.
Well, that's our mission today, really, to unpack that longevity. We need to figure out, why did the critics love basically every single game?
And why is the fan base so passionately divided about certain ones?
Yes. And maybe most importantly, we are going to try to finally, unequivocally, resolve that ultimate 30-year-old mystery. What is the secret of Monkey Island?
We're pulling from a pretty rich stack of sources for this. We got the comprehensive franchise history, the hard data from Metascores, which is really key for showing that consistency, and crucially, the often fiery, always heartfelt fan discussions straight from the subreddit. You just can't talk about this topic without the fan voice.
Absolutely not. And speaking of our sources, we ran into a funny little anomaly this time. Someone, apparently in their aggressive search for lore, managed to trigger a feature on Meta or Facebook that temporarily blocked them.
Yeah, the message said they were going too fast.
Going too fast. It seems like trying to digest 3 decades of Guybrush Threepwood's misadventures in one sitting is a recognized form of feature misuse.
The platform probably assumes you're a bot when you try to binge all the pirate jokes that quickly.
I love it. That's our listener right there, just crashing the server with sheer curiosity. So before we jump into the scores and the secrets, let's set the stage for anyone who hasn't met him.
Right, the core premise.
The series centers on this hopelessly hapless and just hilariously named protagonist, Guybrush Threepwood.
Great name.
He's always trying to become a notorious pirate, defeat the evil undead pirate LeChuck, and win the heart of the, fierce and beautiful Governor Elaine Marley.
And that core dynamic, the bumbling hero, the evil villain who just won't die, and the super smart, capable love interest, that's the engine that drives everything.
So where did this world even come from? It's not a straight pirate tale. It has this unique kind of goofy yet really immersive flavor.
Well, the whole concept was developed by the legendary Ron Gilbert. He co-wrote the first 2 pivotal games with Dave Grossman and Tim Schafer. I mean, that's a powerhouse creative trio right there.
For sure.
But for the inspiration, he always cited 2 main things. First, and this is the most famous one, the specific theatrical vibe of Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Gilbert said he always wished he could just step off the boat and wander around that world. He wanted the game to give the player that exact feeling.
That is the perfect metaphor for the point-and-click adventure genre itself, isn't it? The cursor is your freedom to step off the ride.
Exactly. And the second inspiration was a book by Tim Powers called On Stranger Tides. That's where he got a lot of the supernatural and voodoo elements.
Ah, so that's where LeChuck's constant resurrections come from.
That's the one. It created that perfect blend of spooky and silly that just permeates the whole series.
So the first game, The Secret of Monkey Island, that drops in 1990, hits the Amiga, DOS, Atari ST. Guybrush has to pass those 3 trials, meets Elaine, and then ends up chasing LeChuck after he kidnaps her.
And then super quickly, in 1991, we get the sequel, Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge. In this one, Guybrush is after this legendary treasure, Big Whoop, but he accidentally brings LeChuck back.
As a zombie this time.
As a full-on zombie. And that ending is, well, it's legendary for just completely abandoning realism.
Yeah.
It's so surreal.
It's the one where they end up looking like kids in an amusement park, right?
It left fans completely bewildered, just questioning everything they just played. It wasn't until the manual for the next game, The Curse of Monkey Island, came out 6 years later that they gave any kind of explanation.
What did it say?
It was cryptic, but it basically said Guybrush had fallen victim to an elaborate hex from LeChuck, and that's why his reality was blurred. But that ambiguity was a huge part of the charm.
Which brings us to maybe the most remarkable thing about this series. That unrelenting critical consistency.
It really is rare.
Yeah.
When you look at the aggregate critic scores over this 30-plus year period, almost every single main installment scores between 80 and 89.
That's insane. Most franchises have at least one dud.
Right. In an industry where series often dip in quality after a few games because of, changing trends or new teams, Monkey Island is just this anomaly.
So why do you think that is? Is it just nostalgia, or is there something structural holding the quality up?
I think it's because they never really abandoned the creative core. The inventory puzzles, the character dynamics, that specific brand of clever, self-aware humor. The game might look different, but at its heart, you're always trying to solve some bizarre problem with a rubber chicken and a clothesline.
So let's track that through the big tech shifts, starting with that 6-year hiatus before The Curse of Monkey Island in 1997.
Okay, so this game gets the highest Metascore in the whole series in 89, and the technology had just leaped forward. It was on Windows, used CD-ROMs, digital audio, which allowed for a huge change.
The voice acting.
The voice acting. It went from a text-heavy adventure game to having full professional voiceovers for the first time.
Yeah, and that must have just transformed the whole experience, hearing Dominic Armato as Guybrush instead of just reading his lines.
Oh, absolutely. It let the jokes land with so much more punch.
Okay.
And they paired that with this gorgeous new cell animation style that looked just like a big-budget Disney cartoon.
And the plot was classic Monkey Island. Guybrush accidentally turns Elaine into a gold statue with a cursed ring.
A small setback for true love,
Of course. But then just 3 years later, in 2000, we hit the infamous technical hurdle, Escape from Monkey Island.
Right, this was the big one. The series chased the industry trend and went full 3D. Critically, it still scored high in 86. But this is where the fan critique really starts.
Yeah, the sources mentioned clumsy controls. For listeners who maybe weren't gaming back then, what exactly went wrong when a point-and-click game tried to do 3D?
The interface was the problem. Point-and-click thrives on precision. You click on a thing. But in these early 3D adventure games, they often use what fans call tank controls.
Tank controls.
Yeah, so you're moving the character relative to themselves, not the camera. It just made exploring and interacting with objects slow and clunky. It fundamentally broke the joy of the rapid-fire puzzles the series was built on.
So the new tech was actively fighting the core game mechanic.
Exactly. The story was still fun. LeChuck trying to use the ultimate insult to pacify all pirates, but the experience of actually playing it undermined everything for a lot of people.
And the franchise kept going, which led to the 2009 installment, Tales of Monkey Island from Telltale Games.
Yeah, Telltale specialized in episodic games, so this is 5 separate chapters. It went back to a more traditional point-and-click style, which was good, but the scores were a bit lower, averaging around 80.
So we have this interesting paradox. Critics consistently rate the games as excellent, but the really passionate fans often push back on the entries that make these big technical shifts.
It's all about atmosphere versus mechanics. The fan consensus we see in the sources is that the best games are the ones that feel alive, where every screen rewards exploration, just like Gilbert's original idea of stepping off the ride.
The sources single out a few islands as being real fan favorites.
Oh, for sure. Plunder Island from Curse of Monkey Island is always praised for its atmosphere. The town Port Apollo felt bustling. The art was beautiful, and the soundtrack, that Barbershop Coast track is what fans would call a banger.
High praise indeed when fans talk about wanting to grab a drink in a digital bar.
Exactly. And of course, there's Melee Island from the first game. It's iconic. But Booty Island from Part 2 often wins for having the best AHA moments.
The AHA moment. That's the key, isn't it? That feeling of profound self-earned realization when you finally solve a crazy puzzle.
And that desire for the perfect puzzle brings us right to the debate around the newest game, Return to Monkey Island from 2022.
Right, Ron Gilbert came back for this one.
He did, co-writing with Dave Grossman after Disney got the rights. And critically, another smash hit. It scored an 87.
But the fan critique here is really sharp, despite the score and Gilbert being back.
It's a fascinating dissonance. Critics praised the nostalgia and the new art style, but core fans felt the whole experience was kind of subdued and low-key. They said the music in iconic spots like the Scum Bar was almost imperceptible, and the islands just felt empty.
I saw one comment that pointed out the new Scurvy Island only had like 3 screens and 1 character.
Right. Compared to the sprawling, alive feeling of the older games, it felt like a design shift away from those big atmospheric hubs.
And what about the puzzles?
That was the main failure point for some players. They felt they weren't getting those big AHA moments. Instead, they were facing tiresome chores.
Chores. Like what?
like having to open 3 screws individually, one at a time, or greasing a porthole 3 separate times. The design seemed to stretch out small tasks instead of challenging your logic with a huge, clever leap. It felt like busy work.
That raises a really interesting question. When Gilbert returned, having only worked on the first two games, did his vision maybe clash with the legacy that the later games built, the games fans actually grew up with?
I think that tension is palpable. The critics reward the return of the original creator, but the fans who lived and breathed the big, atmospheric, fully voiced worlds of a game like Curse felt that essential life was missing from Return.
Before we get to the grand reveal of the secret, let's quickly touch on the rumors about a canceled movie.
Right. Around the year 2000, there was a serious push for an animated movie based on the first game. It was a Lucasfilm project, ILM was involved, David Carson
Well,
directing.
and Spielberg was involved, right?
Yeah. Steven Spielberg himself was supporting it. But that's actually where it went wrong. It got shelved because of a huge disconnect in creative direction.
What happened?
Spielberg, while he liked the idea, suggested that the movie should be less about Guybrush the pirate and more about the actual monkeys on Monkey Island.
Wait, really? A movie about the monkeys?
Yep. And that shift just caused this immediate conflict with the script they had, and the whole project just kind of fell apart.
Which led to that persistent rumor that the script just got repurposed for Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean.
Exactly. But the writer, Terry Rossio, confirmed that wasn't true. He said any similarities just came from both projects, drawing from the same pool of classic pirate tropes.
Okay, now for the moment, 30 years in the making. The mystery. The secret of Monkey Island. The first 5 games never really revealed it, did they?
No, not really. Escape hinted it was a control room for a giant monkey robot, but that was about it. Ron Gilbert always said he knew the real secret, though.
So with his big return in 2022, Return to Monkey Island was supposed to finally deliver. What was the answer?
The conclusion of Return reveals the secret to be a novelty t-shirt.
A t-shirt.
A t-shirt you earn as a prize at a pirate-themed amusement park. The exact same park we see at the end of Monkey Island 2.
Wow. So that's deliberately ambiguous. Is he saying the t-shirt is the secret, or is it just the prize at the end of the journey?
He stays ambiguous in the game itself. But after the release, Ron Gilbert confirmed it. His original secret, the one he'd had in his head for 3 decades, was that Guybrush had been inside a pirate-themed amusement park the entire time.
That is the ultimate meta twist. It reframes the whole 30-year adventure. It means LeChuck isn't a supernatural villain, he's just a dedicated actor.
And the islands are just incredibly detailed theme park sets. It turns the entire franchise into a fictional reality inside another fictional reality.
He's a tourist who just embraced the fiction so completely that his life became the story. That's actually kind of genius.
It's a massive narrative risk, but it cements this series' incredible legacy. And that legacy extends so far beyond its own games.
Oh, for sure. We've seen Guybrush pop up everywhere, as a playable skin in Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine, and even in Star Wars. The Force unleashed Sakia as Guybrush Threepkiller.
And you see those little nods all over.
Yeah.
In Uncharted 4, one of the pirate founders is named Guy Wood, and his sigil is a monkey. It's an unmistakable homage.
And the biggest one recently was in 2023 when Sea of Thieves did a full 3-episode expansion called The Legend of Monkey Island.
Which was amazing. It was fully integrated, set between Curse and Escape. It just shows how much value Disney sees in the IP. You can even find a gravestone in Hitman 3 that says, G. Threepwood, Mighty Pirate. The impact is global.
At the end of the day, the Monkey Island franchise is defined by this incredible blend of the genius of its creators, Gilbert, Grossman, Schaefer, with this amazing ability to adapt.
Right. It survived the leap from 2D pixel art to 3D and back again, all while keeping that critical quality so incredibly high. It proves that a great story, one that respects your intelligence, can survive just about anything.
And that final reveal of the secret, it really suggests that the ambiguity of the journey and the joy of just speculating with other fans was always more valuable than any final reward.
The destination was always secondary to the bizarre puzzles and the friends we made along the way. The true secret wasn't the t-shirt, it was the world they built.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on. Given that the entire pirate adventure may have been a theme park, what narrative or fictional reality that you cherish might actually be improved by embracing a similar meta twist? What journey is truly better than the destination?